Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit! My question was very specific.
Okay, let's let this one go because we have the ultimate lacktheist in the room, and that is Randolf Richardson. He actually has it defined on his websites.
And Randolph Richardson is a double-talking, deceitful person. I've entangled with him on several occasions, and he's deceitful, he's flip-flopping, and he's double-talking.
I mean, you can't verify those assumptions, right? There's no way for you to do that, right? So how in the world can you come to the conclusion that you're an empiricist when you can't even be empirically able to verify those own assumptions? That doesn't make any sense. That's just my take on that. But anyways.
I can I just comment real quick here of that statement you just posted, logical, of Randolph Richardson? Can you repost that? He says, I suspect Darth Dawkins is trying to avoid me. You know, Randolph, you're a little lying little sleazebag, okay? I have contacted you in YouTube text chats month after month after month after month when you would show up on these talking head shows inviting you chronically and repeatedly to come onto Discord to discuss, dialogue, and debate atheism. You have real balls when you try to say that I'm avoiding you. Okay, you got some nerve, Randolph Richardson.
Randolph can just hop on here and talk to you. I mean, I don't really see what he's doing here if he's not going to just hop on.
Well, he hasn't tried yet, but yeah, in fairness to him, the room is full at the moment, so that is.
Oh, I can leave if you need me to.
You know that he just outright lied there. Okay. Randolph Richardson lied, and therefore that is an indirect and an implicit denial of God, even though they maintain that they're neutral toward God. Okay, this is a canard that the overwhelming majority of atheists are promoting. It's called lacktheism, and it's a joke.
Okay, and I agree with you on sort of the definition of atheism, and I agree with you that you can't take a neutral position, but I don't think that you're obligated to take any position.
That's incorrect. You're not understanding what I'm telling you. It's unavoidable. The problem is people will feign from their mouth that they're not taking a position, but that you can't. For example, in the agnosticism claims, well, let's use the definition that T.H. Huxley coined the term. One neither knows nor believes in God, okay? Now, contemporary atheists want to limit it to knowledge but not belief because they're committing the etymological fallacy, okay? When T.H. Huxley used the word, he was not using the word in terms of its etymology. He was using the word agnosticism to cover both knowledge and belief.
Right,
now,
but I don't think you're.
Why is there something on the screen here? Okay. The point is maybe is not a direct response. It is a dodge. Now, that's why I've devised a very simple question to smoke out the myth of neutrality. And it's simply this. Do you believe that it is necessary to reference God as the necessary precondition? Now, somebody cannot say, I don't know, because I'm not asking them if they know. I'm asking them, do you believe? Okay? Either you believe that it's necessary to reference God as the necessary precondition, or you don't believe. If you don't believe, then that commits you to believing in the neutrality of facts with respect to God, right? Now, God is defined. I'm not defining God into existence. I'm simply pointing out the definition of God, that God is defined as the creator, as the eternal metaphysical primary, that stands in causal relations to all temporal facts. So if you don't believe that one or more facts necessitate referencing God, then that by default you will believe in the independence of facts relative to God. And then God cannot logically coexist in a world where one or more facts exist independently of God, right? And if you hold to that position, then it is an indirect denial of God.
Right, but I think the point I'm trying to make is that some people just don't hold to a belief position
No, that is not. That is not true. That is a popular. What you can put your thumb up all you want. That is the bull crap that you have been spreading, Randolph. Okay, this is the feigned claim. Godzilla, are you a theist or an atheist?
I'm a theist, and I'm not like saying that
you've been
most
duped.
atheists are like this. I'm saying that it's possible.
You've been duped. Listen carefully. Are you a Christian?
You can't even let someone on your side finish a sentence.
Are you a Christian, Godzilla?
Hang on, guys. Hey, guys, hang on. So I have a serious question. So Randolph, is that a bathrobe? I know you're in Canada. It's probably still cold. Is that a scarf with a bathrobe, or what's going on here? I'm curious.
It is a bathrobe because it's kind of a colder day today. So we're just cleaning up, and I found this bathrobe in one of the shelves. So I've decided to wear it. It's comfortable, but I am properly clothed underneath in case it falls off. So no worries.
Well, the reason I'm asking is that. Go ahead, Angela.
Randolph, you know that mobsters like that kind of ropes at home.
I'm sorry, you broke up a bit. What was the question?
You know that mobsters, they like that kind of clothes. Where is your cigar?
Now that's very interesting you bring that up, because in a stream earlier today, somebody referred to me as the godfather of atheism, which you probably heard that, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Randolph, can you tell us precisely how many members in Canadian Atheists do you have? Is it 10, 15, 20? What?
Randolph, I would like to finish first before you make that question, Darth.
Okay.
Randolph, I just did read today a very nice paper of Paul Davies, and in one of the points that he makes, he asks, in order to explain something in the everyday sense, you have to start somewhere. So in regards of our existence and the physical universe, everything that exists, in your narrative, where do you start? Where is your beginning? Since you don't believe that God is the beginning, the eternal cause which instantiated everything, what would you like to replace God with?
Replace God. So the question, the way you're phrasing it, seems to come with the presumption that God is the default and there is a desire to replace it.
Well, God is a possible explanation, which is what theists stick to. So if you deny that God is the best explanation, then the question is, where do you start?
Okay, I first of all, I don't have a problem with people believing. That's okay in my books, because that's individual intellectual sovereignty is the way I see that. That you have freedom to think and make your own.
You're not answering the question.
But sorry, what was that?
You're not answering his question. You're dodging.
Let him finish, please.
I'm not dodging. I am trying to give him a straightforward answer.
No, he asked you, what is it that's fundamental that replaces God?
I'm not thinking that a God needs to be replaced. I just don't believe in any deities.
Okay, you're dodging. You're dodging again,
Randolph.
So, Randolph, nothing is fundamental. Is everything of a second order, Randolph?
Darth, can I finish, please? I was talking to him. So, if it's not God, Randolph, somewhere there has to be a starting point where time starts and everything else and reality starts. We cannot exist eternally without the beginning, right?
I'm not convinced that that's actually the case. Because
what are you convinced of?
It's possible that, like, I don't regard time as something that started or something that will stop. It's more something that we're observing. Like in science, it's very convenient to express time as a fourth dimension in our three-dimensional space. It just makes it really easy to make calculations and have calendars and clocks and watches and all this stuff and be able to make predictions like, in 5 days' time, it's going to be noon again, exactly if it's noon right now. So we can do this and we can get some consistency from that. But I'm not convinced that it's an entity of its own. I think it's more that we observe the passage of time, but I don't think of it as something that's its own entity, like the XYZ three-dimensional coordinates that we're in. I guess Darth Dawkins got disconnected there. Hopefully he comes back. So I think there he is. Okay, so I think it's important to be careful about how we refer to time, because if we give it so much importance, like everything in our lives, we're considering with schedules and calendars and time and all this. But I think that can lead to a lack of clarity in thinking about the reality that we seem to be living in. So I'm also not sure if our cosmos is infinite. It could be that it's always been here and it didn't have a start. So I haven't been able to
possible.
either one of those.
How
so
is that
I'm open
possible
to
that
both
there is no
possibilities.
start?
So
Well, but how is that possible that there is no starting point?
How is it
Did
possible?
he answer the question as to what is fundamental?
What is fundamental?
Well,
Yeah,
the question
God is defined as what is metaphysically fundamental.
Randolph, the question is, where is your starting point if it is not an eternal
Your
creator?
metaphysical starting point.
If it was to have a start, I would consider one possibility I've toyed with is absolutely nothing. There's no laws of physics or anything with it.
This is insane. Randolph, is anything impossible? Randolph, is anything impossible?
That's a pretty vague question. Could you be more specific?
No, it's not vague. Is it impossible for me to jump to the moon right now?
I'm assuming you're a human being like myself, so I would say
Randolph, you know what I find really irritating about you? Every time I've spoken with you, and when I see other theists talk with you, you are the master evader, okay, and prevaricator. Now, I asked you a question. Is it impossible? Yeah, you can giggle like a little schoolgirl, but I'm going to call you out. Is it impossible for me to jump to the moon right now?
Okay, don't interrupt me. Let me answer. I said, assuming you're a human being like me, I would say the answer is no.
No, all I want to know is it impossible from your perspective? Is it impossible for me to jump to the moon right now?
Yes, that would be impossible.
Okay.
Which is the answer.
So you believe that one or more things are impossible then?
Well, you asked from my perspective, so yes, and my perspective is that you're a human being on planet Earth like me.
Okay, so notice, now I get a straight answer. But when I said, is anything impossible? Now, so you do believe that some things are impossible, right?
Me before.
Yeah, you're such a prevaricator. Okay, now, so you do believe that some things are impossible, right? Now, you do not have a positive belief that God is that which is metaphysically primary that imposes what's possible and impossible. Now, on what grounds
I think that's a fair assessment. Okay.
Good. On what metaphysical grounds, what is it that would be primary in your worldview and fundamental that would impose any possibility or impossibility whatsoever? What would that be, Randolph?
I'd have to think about it, but right off the bat, I consider perhaps laws of physics would be a major factor in that. Well,
here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. That would be a plurality. Okay. Now, is there something that's singular, imposes all possibility or impossibility, or is there a plurality of eternal independent states that dictates what happens?
I'm going to lean toward the plurality, but I really don't know.
Okay, then nothing is singularly in control. So then all you're left with is a chance system. If nothing is singularly in control and there's a plurality of eternal independent things, you believe in a plurality of independent things, Randolph?
I said I lean toward it as that seems to be consistent.
You don't believe that there's a singular thing that imposes all possibility, Randolph?
I'm not convinced that there is, no.
Okay, so then you're going to believe that there's a plurality of things that exist from eternity. That's called a chance system. Do you understand that?
Chance is, I think, a misnomer.
Chance means that nothing is singularly in control of everything. Now, Randolph, do you have any evidence that that the laws of physics are themselves eternal, absolute, and immutable?
I don't have evidence either way on that, no.
Okay, so then why do you believe it?
See, the way that I perceive reality, it seems to be consistent with these laws.
I didn't ask you, okay, again, Again, you have a nasty habit of answering questions I didn't ask. I didn't ask you what you perceive. I said, why do you believe in the actuality of laws of physics? Why do you believe that? Do you have any evidence that the laws of physics are absolute, immutable, and eternal? Do you have evidence for that, Randolph?
No, I don't.
Okay, so now, do you not believe in God because you don't have evidence?
No, I just don't believe in any deities.
No, Randolph, you're prevaricating again. This is what you do all the time. This is why you're annoying. Do you not believe in God because you don't have evidence for gods?
It's annoying to you because you want me to take a position, but I have not taken.
You're prevaricating. You're prevaricating again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
Go ahead, repeat it. I'll try my best to answer you.
Now, what you do all the time is I use the word God singular for the sake of brevity, but you keep on changing it to a plural. That's not necessary, okay? Because you see, what we're talking about is that there is a God that is singular that imposes all possibility. Now,
what evidence do you have?
Do you not believe that there's a creator God because there's not evidence for it?
I don't believe in a creator deity. I'm not clear on what my own reason for that is. But are you
lying? You are lying. I have heard you say you don't believe in God because there's no evidence for it. Why are you lying?
What evidence do you have that it's one deity and not multiple?
I have heard you with my own ears on multiple occasions saying I don't believe in deities because there's no evidence. Have I not heard you say this on dozens of occasions?
I don't remember saying that. There's other people.
Okay, you know what? You're a liar. You're an absolute liar. I don't recall. You're like Hillary Clinton.
I will tell
I don't recall.
I don't.
You're lying, Randolph.
Either way, but
Randolph, why don't you believe in God in one sentence?
I don't really have a reason for that. I just don't hold a belief in it. But I'm wondering why.
Randolph, Randolph, listen to me. Hey, Randolph, we're both grown men. Why do you think people are going to believe you're lying like this? You're lying, Randolph.
No,
Randolph, have I not heard you say you don't believe in God because there's no evidence for God? Have you not said this on dozens of occasions, Randolph?
I don't remember saying that.
Okay, you know what? You're a liar. You are a filthy liar.
You've asked me plenty of questions. I have a question for you. What evidence do you have that it's a single deity and not multiple deities?
Okay, what evidence do I, as a Christian? Because God has revealed it. That's how. And if I gave you any other answer, then you could find fault with it. Now, here's the bottom line, okay? You do not believe that there's an ultimate creator God. Is that so you don't believe it for no reason? Your belief that there's no, okay. Do you believe in the independence of facts from God?
I believe in the independence of facts. I haven't considered, I don't really put much thought into considering whether or not
either
dependent on a deity.
Either you believe that facts derive and depend upon God, or you don't believe in that, which would mean you would believe in the independence of facts from God.
I don't believe.
So do you believe in the independence of facts from God?
If I had to come to a conclusion, then I guess the answer would be yes.
Okay, that necessarily commits you to the falsity of God, because God is defined as the precondition of all facts. So if you believe in the independence of facts from God, then God cannot logically coexist in this world. Now, do you recall, listen to me, do you recall our last encounter on Discord, Randolph?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you recall at the very end, you finally had to agree that believing in the independence of facts necessarily entails that God cannot logically coexist? This was recorded, Randolph.
And I do remember saying that could be an implicit reach. Yes.
No, you agreed at the end. You have a very bad memory. You agreed at the end of the conversation Randolph, God is defined as the necessary precondition of all facts. If you believe in the independence of facts from God, right? If you believe that, and you said that you believe that, then God cannot logically, listen, Randolph, let me finish.
Okay.
If you believe in the independence of facts from God, then God cannot logically coexist if that proposition is true.
Yeah, and you had given what you described was a dichotomy, and I...
Do you accept that, Randolph?
It being a dichotomy.
Do you accept that? Because this is the second time we've been over this.
Okay. Well, I am trying to work with you on this because I genuinely want to find out.
No, I don't believe you, Randolph, because you've lied to me several times tonight.
Well, you're assuming I've lied.
No, I'm not assuming you lied, because I heard you with my own ears on dozens of occasions saying you don't believe in gods because there's no evidence for God, and you're lying about that. You're lying through your teeth. Now, does the independence...
Guys, time out for just a second. Otangelo is about to leave. Otangelo, you had a question for Randolph before you leave, and then we can get back to this.
Yes, Randolph, just a quick question. I'll quote here from Paul Davies. He said, life also requires an energy source and a stable environment, which in our case...
Sorry, a what source?
Energy.
Life also requires an energy source and a stable environment, which in our case are provided by the sun. There have to be the right sorts of forces acting between particles of matter to make stable atoms, complex molecules, planets, and stars. And I want to outline this. There are to be the right sorts of forces. And we know they have to, these forces, they are based on the laws of physics and the right constants. These constants and laws of physics, they are imposed on the physical. So if it wasn't God, because the laws, they are not something physical, they are something which emanates from intelligence, from a mind. If you posit that it isn't a God which imposed these laws, what is it?
I don't believe that they're imposed.
They are imposed.
Okay, then guess what? Here's the problem. That is a catastrophic answer. That's a catastrophic answer. Do you know why?
I'm trying to answer Otangelo here. This is what we observe as how our universe works. To say that they're imposed is a claim that needs to be...
when you say it works, that implicitly implies that something imposes it. If it's not imposed, it's an illusion.
Darth, let me answer this, please, quick.
I can't rule that out.
Darth, Randolph, this is not my claim. I quoted Paul Davies, and this is a scientific claim, okay? These constants, they have to be put there, and the numbers, they have to be set in order to have a stable and orderly universe. You can put any number, you can have different quantities. So why are these quantities the right ones, which actually...
You're giving them the fine-tuning argument. It doesn't work, Otangelo.
Yeah,
you're giving the evidential fine-tune argument. That doesn't work on atheists, Otangelo.
Darth's got a point, a good point there.
Yeah, I know my atheists.
Yeah, I agree with Darth on this but I have my reasons that, we need some kind of evidence that can demonstrate that these so-called constants can be changed.
Yeah, your worldview can't provide for evidence.
Randolph, they can change because scientists, they propose multiverses with very different constants and laws of physics, upon which they say, but our universe is life permitting because there was an ensemble of different universes with different laws and different constants, but ours is the one which worked and actually permitted the instantiation.
And Tangelo, do you know why that's a fail? You know why that's a fail, Tangelo? Because all the atheists need to do is in their mind, in a thought experiment, is expand the number of trials, and they've solved you're presenting the fine tuning. Okay, do you understand? It doesn't work on atheists. You keep on presenting it.
That's not the approach I use. I'm looking at this as we are aware of this universe, and the key word you used was proposed, because this is an idea. It's more philosophical than scientific, but it is discussed in the scientific realm.
Right.
What if this is possible? It's a what if. It's a hypothetical.
Okay,
Randolph,
the thing
other
is,
universes to inspect and access to determine if this is even a possibility. So we actually don't know if it's possible. It's only proposed.
you don't know anything in your world because there's no fundamental. You don't believe that there's anything fundamental dictating
guys.
what is, do you, Randolph?
bye. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night,
Okay.
Angelo. I hope you're not.
Did you say you don't have a belief that anything is fundamental, Randolph?
No, that's not true.
Okay, Randolph, what is it that is fundamental dictating possibility and impossibility?
Well, I guess we're delving into the realm of the laws of logic, are we?
No, Randolph. I'm talking about ontology.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what I do want to do is I want to get back to what I was saying again, because we've already covered this before. You're pretending like we didn't discuss it, and I'll keep this short. If you believe in the independence of facts from God, then God cannot logically coexist if the proposition that facts are independent of God is true. Let me repeat that again. God cannot logically coexist if the proposition is that facts are independent of God. Do you understand that?
I seem to recall thanking you for admitting that, because the burden of proof then is yours.
What?
To demonstrate.
Randolph, are you high? Have you been drinking tonight?
Let me finish.
That was a question, Randolph.
You're going to need to demonstrate that.
Randolph, you're prevaricating
again.
Randolph, that was a question.
The facts actually are dependent on your deity.
You're talking past me, Randolph.
No, I'm
Randolph,
talking to you,
it was a question. It was a question, Randolph. You're filibustering.
When you've been talking,
Randolph, if you believe in the independence of facts,
you're panicking.
Randolph, I'm trying to get the question across that you didn't answer minutes ago.
You are panicking.
I'm not panicking. I'm being very assertive. Randolph,
then why are
does the independence of facts necessarily entail that God cannot logically coexist?
I'm not convinced that that's the case.
Okay, Randolph, there's a recording of this on YouTube in our last encounter where you conceded to this. Do you remember?
To the implicit understanding, yes.
No. Okay, Randolph, stop with the bold pushing, okay?
No, there's a difference.
God is defined, Randolph, if God is defined as the precondition of all facts, definitionally, I'm not defining God into existence. I'm simply saying if God is defined as the necessary precondition of all facts, then all facts would depend upon God. If you positively believe, let me finish.
I agree with that because you made it conditional.
Do you understand now? Do you believe in the independence of facts from God, Randolph?
Hang on. You asked me a conditional there, and I agree.
I'm just going to repeat the question again.
And I agreed with you that the logic follows because
Randolph, do you believe in the independence of facts from God?
I would certainly lean in that direction. Mm-hmm.
No, Randolph, you have to believe it because you do not believe its negation. You do not believe in the dependence of facts upon God, do you?
Well, I'm not, because I don't believe in a deity, so the end result is that...
Randolph, do you believe...
I am the God King, your king.
What are you doing?
Wow, John, that looks like you without hair.
Yeah, Jamie did that video as a spoof. It was one of those,
is that actually your face?
Yeah, he did it with the face.
Randolph, do you believe in the dependence of facts upon God?
I guess, sure, yeah.
Randolph, see, you're not even listening to me. I said, do you believe in the dependence of facts upon God?
Oh, I thought you said independence. Okay, so no, because I don't believe in a deity.
Okay, good. Now,
yeah.
Randolph, do you
Sorry for
believe in the
misunderstanding.
independence of facts from God?
Well, since I don't believe in a deity, the answer implicitly is yes.
Okay, now, God cannot logically coexist in a world if the proposition that facts are independent of God is true.
So the let me just get this clear in my mind because I want to make sure I understand your question properly.
You want me to repeat it again?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
God cannot logically coexist
Logically
in a world where any facts are independent of him.
Because you're defining it as having to be.
God is defined as the necessary precondition of all facts. It is an uncontroversial definition. Now,
okay, so that makes sense.
So
logic follows.
So when you believe in the independence of facts from God, that necessarily commits you to the falsity of God, Randolph.
Only implicitly, not explicitly.
It doesn't matter. It's a distinction with no difference, Randolph.
It does matter.
Randolph, are there people, listen to me carefully, Randolph, are there people languishing in prison because they implicated themselves? Something they said by implication, but they didn't directly admit to killing somebody, but they implicated themselves? Randolph, an indirect implication is every much as valid as a direct implication.
We're not dealing with court standards here. If you want to deal with court standards, then you're
it's not that's not Randolph. You're prevaricating again because that's only an analogy, Randolph. That's an analogy.
It's not a very
Randolph.
Okay, guys.
Can God logically coexist in a world where facts do not depend upon him?
Let's time out for a second. So going back to court, are we looking, Randolph, from your perspective, do you require preponderance of the evidence or beyond all reasonable doubt?
Well, it depends on what the case is. So if it's just a civil case, then preponderance of the evidence, like sorting out
I'm talking about in the context of what's being discussed right now. Are you for your atheist worldview, are you a preponderance of the evidence advocate or beyond all reasonable doubt?
Well, at best, I would call it a critical thinking worldview, as I don't think of atheism as a worldview.
Don't let him escape here. Logical.
I think
he'll just bloviate his way out of this.
Because the deity is your God is so extraordinary. The sufficiency of evidence is fairly high.
Okay, got you. Yeah. So you're a extraordinary claim, extraordinary evidence. Is that what you're
Randolph?
Sufficient evidence.
I
actually don't agree with the phrase extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I think sufficient evidence should be enough.
Randolph, Randolph, are you familiar with modus ponens? If P, therefore Q, P, then Q. Are you familiar with that?
You're talking about propositional logic. The term itself escapes me.
It's called, okay, good. It's valid. If P, therefore Q. Okay? P, then Q. Okay?
So what's the proposition?
Okay, the proposition is facts, if facts are independent of God, then God doesn't exist.
So there's...
If P, therefore Q. If facts are independent of God, then God does not exist. It's modus ponens, Randolph.
I don't accept the proposition.
It's modus ponens. It's plain and simple. If P, listen to me carefully. Do you accept if P, therefore Q?
Oh, it depends on what P is.
And no. Randolph, it doesn't matter what the value is. All I'm saying is if we say if P, then Q follows. Now, does it necessarily follow if facts are independent of God that God does not exist?
With your hypothetical definition, yes.
No, Randolph, This is how devious you are.
No,
You are a very deceitful person. Listen carefully. See, this is why I have contempt for you, because you think by being jocular and smiling and guffawing that you're hiding your deception. Listen carefully.
No.
I'm going to give you the proposition, Randolph.
I'm being clear in my answer.
If facts are independent of God, then God cannot exist.
Cannot.
You're basically saying that God is dependent on facts then.
Okay. No, Randolph, you need to focus. If you're the head of Canadian atheists, by the way, Randolph, do you have 10, 20, 30, or 40 people in Canadian atheists?
Actually, since our last conversation, the membership numbers shot up a bit, and we're just
good. How many members do you specifically have, Randolph?
We're just slightly over 50 now.
Okay, 50. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
a little more.
Randolph, if facts are independent of God, then God cannot exist.
Okay. Based on your hypothetical definition, okay.
No, Randolph, the proposition necessarily follows. If God is defined as the necessary precondition of all facts that are not God, if any facts are independent of God, then God cannot exist.
Yeah, and then therefore your God is dependent.
Do you accept that statement, Randolph?
So what does exist?
Yeah, the statement logically follows, and it also means that.
Okay, so you and I are in agreement that if you and I are Randolph, do you think by being verbose you're going to get out of this?
It also means that any independent facts will invalidate your deity. That's a risky proposition for you.
Randolph, you're just monologuing now. You're trying to sidestep. Now, Randolph, if there are independent facts, then God cannot exist. Do you agree with that proposition?
Based on the definition you provided, yes.
Okay. Do you accept that if there are independent facts, then there is no God?
Yeah, that's what I just said. It's all based.
Okay, now, so you do affirm. So then you do affirm there are independent facts.
Because I don't believe in a deity implicitly. Yes, I do.
Okay. So that commits you. That to the falsity of God. And it makes no difference whether it's direct or indirect, Randolph.
Not explicitly.
Randolph, you know what? You are a filthy liar. You know what? You're a smiling Canadian liar is what you are.
Hello, everyone.
Okay? Yeah. Hey, Randolph, your position, you are so deceitful because you know you can't defend the falsity of God. You believe in the independence of facts. The independence of facts necessarily entails the non-existence of God. Right, Randolph?
Based on your definition, yes, I agree. The logic.
Okay, so can I hear you say? Can you for the YouTube audience here? Can I get you to affirm that affirming the independence of facts as you do, it means there is no God?
It's all based on your definition, though. But
no, Randolph, do you believe the independence of facts means God doesn't exist?
The context is on the way you define.
Randolph, do you need me to repeat the question?
I'm trying to answer your question.
No, you're not. You're prevaricating. You're prevaricating.
Doesn't he exist?
Randolph, does the affirmation, the assertion of the independence of facts commit you to the falsity of God?
No. Not
yes, it does. You've now contradicted yourself. Randolph, can God logically Randolph, listen carefully. Can God logically coexist in a world where some facts are independent of him?
By your definition of God, yes. That's correct.
No, Randolph, I just gave you the definition that God is defined as the necessary precondition of all facts that are not God. Now,
yeah, but and I understand that.
Right. So if you believe, if you're going to claim to be the head of the Canadian atheist, you have to put on your thinking cap instead of prevaricating.
It's not a claim, it's a fact.
Do you assert and affirm the independence of facts from God?
Yeah.
Yes, in the context of your definition, yes.
No, do you believe that, Randolph?
Well, it's all in the context of the definition.
Randolph, do you believe that facts are independent of God?
Because I don't believe in God, so...
Randolph, do you believe
yes.
in the independence of facts from God?
Implicitly, yes.
No, I said, do you believe it?
I believe it implicitly.
Okay, I didn't ask you if you believe it implicitly or explicitly. Do you believe it?
Not explicitly, only implicitly.
Okay,
Only by
what the hell does that mean, Randolph?
It means I
You
don't
believe-
hold that.
Randolph,
belief
you're a
position.
double-talking deceiver. Do
No, I'm
you
being
believe that facts depend upon God?
Something.
Randolph, you are embarrassing yourself as the so-called head of American atheists of a group of 50 people out of a country of 35 million people. I'm asking you a direct question. Do you believe in the dependence of facts upon God?
I believe in the independence of facts.
No, listen, I didn't say that.
Okay,
Do
sorry.
you believe that facts depend upon God?
No, because I don't believe in a God.
Okay, fine. Now I got a straight answer. Do
That's
you
the answer I
believe
gave you
in
before.
okay, do you believe in the independence of facts from God?
Implicitly, yes.
No, why didn't you say implicitly that when I asked you the first question? Implicit or listen to me carefully. Listen to me. If you listen to me, to me. Stop with the BS of adding implicit. You are deliberately trying. You can giggle all you want. You're making yourself look terrible. You're making yourself look like a fool. That's why I'm giving you a hard time. I'm exposing you for the deceiver that you are. Okay, now I don't want to hear implicitly. All I want to know is this. Do you believe in the independence of facts from God?
Because I don't believe in God, that's correct. That's what it did.
Okay, now, if facts are independent of God, then God cannot exist. If P, therefore Q, Randolph.
Yeah, and the context is the definition of God that you provided. So yeah,
Okay,
the logic.
That's right, Randolph. So when you affirm P and P entails Q, by affirming P, it necessarily follows that Q is true. You understand, Randolph?
I understand.
Good. What does P represent? P represents the independence of facts from God.
Okay.
Q means God doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's an implied conclusion.
It necessarily follows, Randolph.
Okay.
Okay, so Randolph, do you accept it necessarily follows?
Based on your definition, yes.
No, Randolph, stop with the bullshit.
I'm being clear.
No, you're bullshitting.
Are you objecting to your own definition?
No, I'm objecting to your bullshit responses. I'm asking you a circumspect question. Now, do you understand that by affirming P, Q is necessitated? P is the independence of facts from God. If facts are independent of God, then God does not exist. Do you understand?
That is only applicable to the deity that you define.
Randolph, you're bullshitting again.
Are you saying that
Randolph, if you affirm the actuality of the independence of facts, then God does not exist, correct?
I think you're contradicting yourself here.
Okay, Randolph, Randolph, have you been drinking tonight? Listen carefully. Does the assertion of the independence of facts necessarily entail the falsity of God?
The God you defined, yes.
No, that's right. So you believe that God, who is the necessary precondition of all facts, you believe that God does not exist.
Well, because independent facts would destroy him, sure.
All right, so do you believe that God does not exist?
I don't hold that position explicitly.
No, Randolph, here we go again with your prevaricating and your deception. When you believe in the independence of facts, it necessarily commits you to the non-existence of God. It is inescapable, Randolph. If you believe one, you believe the other. If you believe P, then you will have to believe Q. Do you understand, Randolph?
I don't agree with you, but I understand.
Randolph, do the independence of fact, if facts are independent of God, then God cannot exist. Do you understand that?
I understand. That's the way you're defining God.
Is it true that, Randolph, is it true that if facts are actually independent of God, then God can't exist?
By the definition of God that you provided, yes.
Right. So do you believe that facts are independent of the God as defined?
Because I don't believe in that.
Randolph, can you give me a straightforward answer instead of BSing?
So if you keep interrupting me, it won't sound like a straightforward
because
answer.
I keep on interrupting because you're prevaricating.
Because you are worried that my answer is going to.
I'm not worried. I'm irritated at your deceitfulness with me.
I'm being
I'm not worried about anything. Randolph,
I'm trying to give you
does your assertion of the independence of facts commit you to the falsity of God?
Of the God you defined, yes.
Good. So that God, you believe that God doesn't exist?
Not directly, not.
Okay, no, Randolph. Randolph, are you psychotic?
Not that I'm aware of.
Randolph,
I am open to
Randolph,
my sanity.
Listen carefully. How many times have I gone over it with you?
I am open to questioning my sanity.
Yeah, and I'm questioning your sanity right now because either you're a pathological liar or you're having mental problems right now. Listen carefully. If you affirm the independence of God, if you affirm the independence of facts from God, then God cannot exist, Randolph.
The God that as you defined it.
Okay,
that's right.
All right.
So you believe that God does not exist, Randolph?
Okay, hang on. So
we're going around in circles here because you won't accept.
No, you're the one who's going around in circles.
You don't seem to be willing to accept that there is a distinction between implicit and explicit points of view.
Randolph, you happen to be one of the greatest BSers I've ever heard.
We've got a new person coming to the stream. Oz, how are
you?
Oz.
Any God.
What's up, everybody?
Any God.
Hey, it's a happy shark.
See, you're letting him off the hook, LP.
Oh,
so your belief that facts are independent of God.
No, I'm not. I'm not letting you off the hook because you are
Randolph.
Conflate.
Wow, Randolph, you are one of the most obtuse atheists I've ever talked with.
Your argument.
Okay, Randolph.
You can't make this step.
Your belief that facts are independent of God commits you necessarily to the falsity of God. So you believe the God as defined does not exist.
Well, it's the definition of God that you provided, and
that's right. And you believe that God doesn't exist, right, Randolph?
By implication, it's not an explicit.
No, Randolph, do you believe that God does not exist?
Okay, we're going to take a break from this for a minute. We can come back.
Yeah, I've been consistent all the way through.
Okay, so
Randolph, you are an embarrassment and to a disgrace to even atheists.
All right, let's.
So you know the mind of all atheists.
Okay, so we're going to. The two of y'all are going to shut up for a second.
Wow.
Oz,
they have a man-child running Canadian
Oz, welcome to the stream.
John.
I think that's the first time that Oz has been on my stream, and then we got CJ. Oz, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm assuming you're the same Oz of Tart.
Yes.
Right on. Well, appreciate you.
Here's another prevaricator.
Well, I guess Oz is a little bit less. What I've observed of Oz, he's much less dodgy than Randolph.
Oh, absolutely not. I've encountered Oz a couple of times on Discord, and he's worse than Randolph Richardson.
Well,
he just turns it on, off and on, depending on who he's dealing with.
Well, then I'm very curious. Oz, are you a lacktheist or are you an atheist?
They're the same thing, except I have an issue with the term lacktheist that I'd like to get into, John.
That wasn't that question wasn't directed to you, Randolph.
I know. I'm just letting you know.
No, I'm an atheist. I have a lack or an absence of belief. The only time there's any button hit or switch flipped, as far as how I normally have conversations with people is if it's with Darth, because he doesn't know how to have a civil conversation.
Oh, it's called.
I know how to have a civil conversation, but when somebody is lying to my face, I'm going to get irritated. And you want to know something? The last time you and I spoke, Oz, you're actually lying because you were not civil with me, were you?
No, I know right where to go to pull the video.
Were you civil with me on Discord, Oz?
Well, that shows you have no idea what you're talking about, because the last time we talked was
Were
not
you
on Discord.
civil with me? Were you civil with me on Discord, Oz?
Darth, we have only spoken one time on Discord.
You haven't answered me.
Yes.
Last time when we talked, were you civil to me?
Absolutely.
No, you're not. You're lying. You're absolutely lying.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is the problem, LP. These atheists are shameless about lying. Absolutely shameless.
You guys believe.
Okay. Now you're claiming to be a lacktheist. Now, I guess you didn't hear it. This is okay. Do you positively believe that God is the necessary precondition of all facts, Oz?
Okay, so everybody pay attention, because this is where Darth and I bang heads every time. Darth, we already know where this leads to, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit trail.
So you're not going to answer a legitimate question?
And see, no, because we did that. The very first time you and I spoke.
No, I haven't gotten an answer to this question.
And see, I have.
But it's logic.
I asked you a simple question.
Darth, can you ever settle down just for a second and let somebody speak?
Good. Answer my question.
So we're going to talk about talking?
What's that?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you answer my question, please?
Well, yeah. I'm going to answer it the same way every time we talk. I'm going to answer it the same way I always do. There's no point in having this conversation if we don't have a God that you can demonstrate or we can prove to be falsifiable. There's no point in doing this.
Okay. Are you invoking the falsifiability criterion?
Darth, you know exactly what I'm saying.
Are you invoking the falsifiability criterion?
Can we demonstrate that the God exists, or can we show it to be falsifiable?
I asked you a question. Did you introduce the falsifiability?
You know what the definition of God is?
Okay.
Well, it depends on what definition we're throwing out.
Okay. Oz, do you understand that the falsifiability criterion is a permutation of the verification principle? Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Okay. Now, the verification principle in the 20th century was used by the logical positivists in order not to deny God, but simply to neutralize any referencing to God. Okay. It was called the verification principle. When that internally collapsed because it was self-contradictory, the verification principle permutated into the falsification principle, as we now see it. That in order for something to be worthy of belief, it must be in principle falsifiable. Is that your position?
The way you strung that along, I'm not exactly sure what you're getting to.
You invoke the falsifiability principle in regards to God. In order for God to be worthy of belief, for you, must he be in principle falsifiable?
If I think I'm understanding what you're saying, it should be, if you have a God concept or what you're trying to put in front of me, if we can't test it or prove that it is falsifiable, then no, I'm not going to.
That's a category error. When you say testing has to do with observation and
yes.
repeatability. Okay,
yes.
But you see, God is not in the category of physical regularities. That's not what we're talking about. Okay, you're making a category error of physics or chemistry as opposed to metaphysics. Now, I asked you a question. Okay, must God be in principle falsifiable in order for him to be worthy of belief?
Based on what we just discussed, I would still say yes.
Okay, now here's the catastrophic problem that you face. Since God is unworthy of belief because he's unfalsifiable in principle from your position,
Yep.
then in your worldview, there's two worldviews, okay? God is not just an entity to be believed in or not believed in. God is also a worldview, okay? So we have God and then his creation. Now, that is a worldview. Now, before I move on, do you understand that?
So you're saying God and God being the creator is a worldview?
Yeah. When we talk about God, we're referring to God as creator. God is that which is the necessary precondition of all facts. Okay? I'm not defining God into existence. I'm just giving a minimalist definition of God. Okay? Now, that is a worldview. Okay? Do you understand that?
I think I see where you're going with this, but go ahead.
Do you accept that?
Except no, because I don't know. I need to hear. I need to hear where you're.
Okay. Do you understand that when we invoke God definitionally as creator, that is also a worldview?
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. That's how you define it. I do not accept that definition.
Okay, Oz, listen to me. Do you reject or not accept all God concepts?
Oh, right now, yeah,
okay,
right.
So,
right.
You do not. So you do not accept the God concept.
No.
Where God is characterized as eternal creator.
No.
Right. Good. Now,
disqualified God.
Now, when we talk about God as creator, as opposed to that God would be a creature and subject to some parameters of existence, okay, we're talking about God as creator. Now, you don't accept that. Now, whether you accept God or not, God as conceptualized as creator is also a worldview because you have God and then his creation. Okay, it's a worldview. Now, you don't accept that worldview, right?
Correct.
Okay. So God is not just an entity to be believed or not believed, that God also is a worldview. So there's only two worldviews, okay? There's God and not God, okay? It's a true dichotomy. Now, either in the God worldview, that God is ultimate and the source of all possibility, and if that is to be rejected, then you will be in the not God frame of reference or worldview with whatever is fundamental in that worldview. Now, in order for God to be falsifiable, you would have to know what it is that is fundamental and ultimate and its derivatives in order to falsify God. But since you say that God is not falsifiable, then God can never be put on the table. Is that your view?
Say that last part again.
You say that God is unworthy of belief. You say God is unworthy of belief. He cannot be put on the table as an actuality because he's unfalsifiable. Now, the reason why that's metaphysically catastrophic for you is because now your not God world is unfalsifiable in principle. Do you realize that?
No, because everything I experience
every
day, I don't require God.
No, you're not see, that response told me you don't have a clue as to what I just said to you. Oz, what
Darth
would falsify the not God worldview that you are in principle?
Well, no, I don't need to falsify a God that I don't believe in.
No, you're not. It's Oz. You gotta focus, Oz. You need to focus on what I'm saying to you.
No,
I'll repeat the question and I'll shut up.
To falsify.
Oz,
I have nothing to falsify.
No, you're not understanding. You have a criterion of belief, which is the falsification principle, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yes. I believe that the God,
Okay.
the God should be
Now-
tested and falsified.
Okay. No. Okay. But God is a. Does
No,
that
you already
apply to?
disqualified.
Okay. Listen to me. God is a worldview. So does the falsification criterion, does it equally apply to all worldviews?
Well, you're the one telling me it's a worldview. I didn't.
I'm not.
You said that.
Okay. Oz, this is uncontroversial. Okay.
To you, because you're the one setting all this up. Like nobody's stupid
listen
here, Darth.
listen to me carefully.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Hey Oz, this is listen carefully. That's jungle. Oz, this is uncontroversial. Okay. Now, do you believe that in order to believe any worldview, okay, and I'm going to ask the question and I'm going to shut up, and I expect the question that I asked to be answered. Here's the question. Do you believe that any worldview that is to be believed, that it must be in principle falsifiable?
You define it as worldview, not me. I don't see.
Oz,
No, like
this is uncontroversial.
If you're going to say you're going to ask a question and then be quiet, then be quiet.
Because you've already answered it. You're being dismissive. What you're now doing is
you don't like the answer because I'm.
What you're doing is you're quibbling. You are quibbling about something that is uncontroversial. Okay. God and not God are worldviews. Okay. Are we clear?
That's what
he's no.
That's what I say. No, it's not. That's not a worldview to me. It's a worldview to you.
Okay. If you talk to any philosopher, professional, or theologian, they will tell you that God is a worldview, unless, of course, okay, the God that you're referencing is some creature that is subject to some parameter of existence. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the concept of God as creator. The concept of God as creator is a worldview.
That consensus does not exist among philosophers.
Okay, listen to me carefully. Talk to any professional philosopher, and if we talk about as God as defined as listen to me, you're just bullshitting again here. Okay, this is divide and conquer. Listen carefully. If God is defined as creator, then by default it is a model of reality. It is a worldview. It is it is uncontroversial. You see, what you're doing right now is what atheists do all the time. You argue over minutia. Okay, when I say God, I could equally say the creator-creature distinction, okay? If God is defined as creator, then that is the same thing as a worldview called the creator-creature distinction. There's God, and then there is his creation. That is a worldview. Now, if that worldview is negated or rejected, then it can only be negated and rejected, in virtue of a worldview. Okay.
Okay. And the last time you and I spoke, this is exactly where we got, and I told you that this is until we can all have good reason to believe that this creator or this God or this source does certainly exist, that it's nonsense.
We haven't resolved the issue. We haven't resolved the issue. Let me just wrap this up here, because I want to expose this foolishness that Oz has picked up. He doesn't realize how incoherent it is. God is defined as creator is a worldview. You can laugh all the time. You're the one who is looking very dumb, Oz.
I know.
Now, if we have God as creator, defined as creator, that is a world. If you deny or do not accept that, you can only do so from a worldview that negates that worldview, because then that worldview is not necessary. It's not the worldview that you are speaking out of or from. So the point is this: God is a worldview. This is uncontroversial. The only reason why you would want to argue about this is so that your falsification criterion cannot be examined. Now, since God is a worldview and you insist that it must be falsifiable in principle, then what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. Is your not God worldview, is it falsifiable in principle, Oz?
You're creating this scenario because you're creating it's either God or not God. I am 100%. Hold on, hype man.
It's a true dichotomy.
I'm allowed to say I don't know. I didn't
ask you if you know.
Hang on. Hey, everybody, time out for a second. The point is that whether or not you know if there is God or not God doesn't change the underlying reality that either there is God or there is not God. Just because you don't know, has no relevance.
Don't be baited. What he's doing is, right, what he just said is a form of moving the goalpost. Oz, either you have a God worldview or you have a not God worldview. Okay, it's a true dichotomy. Okay, it is a true dichotomy. Okay, and if you argue about that, you're either being deceptive or you are ignorant. So this
dichotomy is correct. Either you believe or you don't. Yeah.
No, we're talking, but we're not. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about either we have a God worldview or a not God worldview. Now, you insist that the God worldview must be in principle falsifiable. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to shut up. Now, do you believe that any worldview that one holds to or espouses must be in principle falsifiable?
Well,
I don't.
Your belief.
Yeah, I don't believe. You keep talking about worldviews. I'm not talking. I don't see God.
Your belief.
I don't see God as a worldview.
Okay. Listen, God. Well, first of all, I'll repeat it again. You're repeating the same objection that I have debunked. Okay, the creator-creature distinction.
Hold on. You haven't debunked anything.
The creator-creation distinction.
You just over talking the entire time gets us nowhere.
The creator. Yeah, I don't know how you sleep at night with being so deceptive.
Oh, now, listen, you of all people. You of all people.
And what have I been deceptive about?
This is good. Go ahead.
Give me one thing. Wait a minute. Give me one thing that I've been deceptive about, Oz. And then we're going to get back to what you're trying to change the subject on.
Projection.
Nobody tried to change the fucking subject.
Projection.
Yeah. Okay, so Oz, Oz, if I ask,
everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. Okay, this is going absolutely freaking nowhere. Okay, so
of course it isn't, because he doesn't want it to.
I know.
He's stalemating the conversation on purpose.
I understand that, Oz. Whether or not you believe in God has literally zero bearing on whether or not your worldview necessitates being falsifiable or not falsifiable, which is the entire point that's being made here. So, does your worldview have to be falsifiable from your perspective? Yes or no?
Well, maybe I'm not getting the proper understanding of that, because I don't see how.
So do you have a worldview? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a way I see the world, but it's not predicated
on
belief.
Now, if you have a theistic worldview, from your perspective, in order for it to be validated, does it have to be falsifiable? Yes or no?
Yeah.
If I'm basing my worldview on
No. I'm talking about your position on the theistic worldview. Okay, in order for my worldview to be validated, must it be falsifiable?
If the worldview is based on a God claim, then the God claim
that's not an answer to the question he asked you.
Let him finish.
You're prevaricating.
Let him finish.
Define God.
Do you know how many times he's been prevaricating? And you say let him finish, Randolph? You're full of crap, Randolph.
No, you're interrupting him, Darth. You do this a lot.
No, I'm pointing out that he's prevaricating. He's not answering the question.
Okay, okay, Randolph, be quiet. Oz, answer the question, please. Yes or no?
If there is a worldview that's based on a claim of a God or a deity, yes,
you're not answering the question.
Deity,
that wasn't the question.
I am. You define the worldview. You define the worldview as a God.
That's not the question he asked.
Let him answer his question.
But I wasn't even
your deity.
I wasn't even.
See what he's doing? LP. He is prevaricating.
I'm aware. Look, go ahead and finish, Oz.
LP. Darth is interrupting.
We're aware of what?
Randolph, you're a man-child.
Never got to finish. If my worldview is not based on a God or a claim of a deity, if we're going to base a worldview on the existence of a deity or a God or a supernatural being, yes, that needs to be either testable or falsifiable. But I don't have that claim. I don't have that in my.
He's prevaricating again.
He's
prevaricating.
Okay, so does the
reciprocal basis?
Everybody, shut the flying F up. Now, in a dichotomy, if one side necessitates something, why does the reciprocal not also hold true?
That's going over his head.
Oh boy.
No, I mean that sincerely.
No, I don't know how much more clear I can be. If I have a worldview and I understand the reality that I have, and the reality that I experience.
Okay, the ultimate point that Darth was making this entire time,
he still hasn't answered
in a much more verbose manner, was in the context what we're all talking about. The worldview, the reciprocal, necessitates the same standard. Is the entire point. And in this context, we're talking about a dichotomy, right? Just because, and this is the whole point I was making about, just because you and Randolph claim you don't have any actual belief doesn't change the reality that ultimately there is a either or. Just because you don't know doesn't change the underlying reality of either there is or there is not.
He's not going to answer the question.
Well, no, I actually already did. No, and I appreciate.
No, you haven't. You did not answer
Christ.
my question.
So in the context,
I asked you. I said, must a worldview? I said, must a worldview, any worldview, is it your position that whatever worldview is presented to be accepted, must a worldview that is presented be falsifiable in principle, as far as you're concerned?
By the way, Darth, you are defining that the worldview is based on.
You are prevaricating again.
Okay,
that is not an answer to my question.
Then that's all I'm going to do all night. Then.
Okay. Then so what you have now admitted to the YouTube audience and the people in here, that what you are going to do is you are simply going to prevaricate and play dumb because you don't want to answer the question. Because you do not have the intellectual. No, it has not. It's not a matter.
You don't like the answer. You don't like
that's
the answer.
That is another childish tactic.
Childish atheist
when
tactic,
you don't
lying,
answer the question.
Bullshit. Yep,
when you don't answer the question, and then I point out that you're not answering the question, then you lie and say I did answer the question. You just like it. You haven't answered the question. I'll repeat the question again, and you're only embarrassing yourself to the YouTube audience.
Cool.
Do you believe that any worldview? Do you believe that any worldview that is presented to you or anyone else to be accepted, that it should be falsifiable in principle, any worldview.
If the worldview is predicated on a supernatural
No,
plane,
that's not.
yes.
That is not.
Okay.
That
Okay.
is not the question.
The operative.
You know what? You know what? Get him out of here.
The operative word is any. Okay. Any is the operative word.
Prevaricating.
God being relevant or being inserted into the worldview has zero bearing to the word.
L, do you understand what's going on here? He is deliberately committing himself to not answering the question.
They're afraid of where it's going to take them.
Let's just continue. Okay, everybody calm down. Okay, so Oz, I assume you recognize the premise of the term of the word any.
Yes, I understand the word any.
Okay, so do all worldviews necessitate a God?
Do all worldviews?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so then if all of them don't, then any would cover all of them, correct?
I would assume so.
Okay, so going back to in principle, if any worldview, or is it your position that any worldview must be falsifiable?
Who's the hype man? Keeps sounding like an idiot. But
I don't know. Just answer the question.
See, he refuses to answer.
No, no. Can I think for a second? God damn.
He has not.
There's nothing. There's like I don't have a quote unquote worldview to base this on.
That's not an answer to the question.
You're interrupting again, Darth.
Yeah, because he's prevaricating again.
Randolph, I'm being as honest as I could be. I'm not trying.
No, you're not. Now you're lying.
Now you're going to tell me.
You are lying, sir. Look, dude, I'm probably more than double your age. You're a damn liar.
Okay, so let's put this in a different context. So, Oz, do you have a worldview? Yes or no?
I view the world as I see it and experience it every day.
That's not an answer to the question.
I asked you, do you have a freaking worldview, period? I don't give a rat's ass.
If he's not going to answer the question, check him out.
Darth, hang on. Dude, do you have a worldview of any kind? Yes or no? Or do you just walk around in a freaking nebulous ether of no definitive positions?
Yeah.
That's an interesting description, John.
Yeah, I mean,
very clever.
I'm dumbing it down. So, do you operate in a nebulous, like of no definitive positions? Yes or no? Because if you say you have no definitive positions, then you're in everything you say on your channels is total bullshit. So, do you have a worldview or do you not have a worldview? Yes or no?
Well, I didn't say that.
He says it's not contingent on a worldview.
Yeah, well, let's do this. And maybe this will provide some more clarity because obviously between what I think I'm hearing what and I do appreciate the fact that you are trying to be cordial versus the other. What is and maybe I have a different definition. When you say worldview, what's the definition? Of
LP, why are you putting up with this?
Hey, just everybody be calm. Okay.
I mean, how many times does he have to lie to you?
Just
calm.
I operate from the perspective that this happens. Okay, so is it your position that in context of your conversation on the Myth Vision podcast, right? Did you guys did you or did you not both take the position that people who are still believers in religion are brainwashed and have been indoctrinated with positions, therefore their critical thinking skills are not in full operation?
Not all, but I would suggest a good number. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys were rather definitive in that deal in your conversation.
Yeah, I will be definitive in that.
I'm still waiting for the question to be answered.
So who's indoctrinated?
So, Oz, is it your position? Is it your worldview that the majority of people who believe in a God are in some way, shape, form, or fashion indoctrinated in that belief?
Into a religion? Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, so is that worldview falsifiable? Yes or no?
Yeah, I'd believe so.
Okay, so in order for that,
here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Now, in order for you to take that position and to espouse it, does that mean that your worldview, which now enters into the any category, must be falsifiable in order to have any remote coherence of rational thought?
Yeah. I would
okay, here. Okay, let me jump in here. Here's the problem. Okay, when we talk about God versus a not God world, now you do not have a God worldview, correct?
It's correct for me.
Darth.
I'm talking. Do you have a God worldview?
No, I do not have a God worldview.
Okay, then you have a not God worldview. Okay? Now, in order to falsify a world view, okay, you're going in order to falsify worldview X, you can only falsify worldview X, falsify it, by instantiating worldview not X. Okay? You understand that, Oz?
Yes, Darth, I follow.
Okay. Do you accept what I just said as true?
No, we've already been down that.
Okay, do me a favor. Would you remove him right here? This guy is a pathological liar. Okay.
Okay, so Oz, I'm very curious about.
I mean, how much lying are you going to tolerate?
This is my first interaction with it. I'm very curious, actually. So earlier today,
all right, I'm done. This guy is a lying scumbag.
No.
Thank you for having me, LP. This guy is a lying dirtbag.
They all are contradicting themselves.
Well, that was fun, Darth. I enjoyed the overall experience and the conversation.
By the way, did you get that Tom Rabbit?